Now this sound is a little too wacky to test effects with, so let's pick out a more standard synth. Let's quickly turn up the sends for this slot and go to the effects section. Here we have 4 individual effects racks and 1 master rack. Just click on any empty slot and choose from a bunch of cool effects. Wow, that sounds way different. Just like in the Cubase mixer, you can enable or disable, bypass, or edit an effect by pressing the E button. Each plugin features an easy-to-use interface. No manual is needed. Every control you could possibly want is immediately available. If you want, you can choose to create completely different effect chains for each effect send and balance them all on the mixer page. Or you can use all 20 effect slots at the same time and leave all of the sends cranked and just go crazy, mangling your sound into oblivion. Be careful not to overload the channels, as some of the effects like the amplifier simulator can add a lot of gain. You can really quickly fill up a ton of effect slots and come up with a monstrous sound. To put an effect on the whole mix, click in an empty slot here. I'm going to use one of the old Halion legacy effects from earlier versions of Halion. Weird. A more useful effect on the main output would be a compressor or a limiter to keep levels in check. Let's do that and set it so it's slightly evening out the sound level. Last but not least is the options section. This is a handy little slider. It lets you decide where to put the burden on your system. For instance, if you're on a laptop with a slow hard drive, but you have a lot of RAM, set this slider to the RAM side. You can see the results of your actions on the right. If your computer is having a hard time either way you set it, you can lower the amount of voices it can play at once over here. You can decide how much of the actual CPU you use and set a reasonable fade-out time for the canceled voices. Only if you're having a really hard time should you enable the eco mode. This has nothing to do with the environment. It's just your last resort if the computer keeps choking and stuttering through playback. You probably notice these tooltips popping up, even if you have them turned off in Preferences. If you're comfortable with Halion Sonic SE and don't need any help finding your way, you can turn off all of the tips here. If the sounds don't seem to react properly to your controller, you can reset it here or adjust the smoothing factor here. To find out more about FlexPhrase, you should really get the full version of Halion Sonic from a local dealer. So now you know how to make and manipulate sounds in Halion to come up with something really unique. Watch the next chapter to see how to set up multi-instruments in multi-timbral mode.